The dust tastes of victory. Kel feels it in his throat, a fine grit that coats his tongue as his galley mimics fleet tears across the ochre plains. They are the windrunners, the river clan, and this land answers to the drumming of their mounts' three-toed feet. Below them, in the scrubby ravine, a lone figure from the stone cart scrambles, his heavy legs clumsy, his movements a desperate stagger. He is their prey. Kel raises his obsidian-tipped spear, a silent signal, and his two riders peel away to his flanks, forming the familiar crescent of their attack. They flow over the terrain, a single predatory unit of man and dinosaur, a testament to a bond forged in stolen eggs and generations of patient dominance. These are Homo erectus, upright and clever, but the river clan is something more. They have mastered the wind itself. The stone clan are brutes, thick-boned and slow, clinging to their caves and heavy axes. They are an echo of a past these windrunners believe they have outrun. A skirmish over a carcass, a challenge for a hunting ground, it always ends this way, with the stone clan broken and scattered before their speed. Fleet lets out a sharp, bird-like cry, sensing the closing of the trap, the imminent taste of fear from the hunted. But something is wrong. The air shifts. A low, grinding tremor vibrates up through Fleet's slender legs, a feeling Kel has never known. It is not the earth-shaking tread of a browsing sauropod, nor the heavy footfalls of a tyrannosaurus. This is a rhythmic, crushing weight that speaks of deliberate, implacable force. The prey in the ravine stops running. He turns, a strange, grim smile on his face. From the petrified forest at the edge of the plain, the stone clan emerges. They do not charge. They walk, a phalanx of silent, grim-faced hunters. And between them they escort their god. It is a living mountain of bone and keratin, a creature from the deepest parts of this prehistoric life. An Ankylosaurus. Low, impossibly wide, its back a shield of fused osteoderms and stony spikes. Its tail, a solid bludgeon of bone, sways gently, a pendulum of absolute destruction. Long pikes, their tips sharpened and fire-hardened, guide the beast, prodding its thick hide, keeping it moving forward. Kel's mind, so quick to calculate angles of attack and pursuit, freezes. His clan's entire philosophy of war, speed, flanking, the quick strike, dissolves into meaninglessness before this walking fortress. Still, instinct screams. He lets out a war cry, a command born of pride, and the windrunners charge. Their galley mimics mounts surge forward, a wave of feathered flesh and sharpened stone. The distance grows in a heartbeat. Spears fly, striking the Ankylosaurus flank with pathetic, hollow silex, splintering into useless shards. The beast barely seems to notice. It simply turns its immense body, a movement as slow and final as a landslide. Then the tail swings. It does not move with the speed of a predator, but with the unthinking, irresistible momentum of a falling rock. There is a sound like a giant snapping a tree trunk, a wet, percussive crack that echoes across the plain. One of Kel's riders and his mount are gone, erased in a reed mist and a spray of shattered bone. The windrunners pull back, their charge broken, their courage turned to ice. They stare not at the stone clan, but at the living siege engine they now command, a creature that has changed the very definition of power. Retreat is a word their bodies learn before their minds can accept it. The windrunners flow back across the plain, not as a disciplined unit, but as scattered sparks thrown from a fire. The thunderous crack of bone echoes in their skulls. Kel's heart hammers against his ribs, a frantic drum against the steady, grinding advance of the armored beast behind them. He looks back. The stone clan follows at a deliberate pace, their silhouettes dark against the horizon, flanking their living weapon. They are no longer just rivals, they are harbingers of a new age, an age of brute force that speed cannot out. The age of the windrunners is over. Days bleed into weeks of hunger. The stone clan, with their Ankylosaurus, claims the great river, the prime hunting grounds, the groves of fruit-bearing trees. The river clan is pushed into the barrens, a land of scant lizards and bitter roots. The land of scant lizards and bitter roots. The clan's spirit frays, fights break out over scraps. The elders stare into the fire with hollow eyes, remembering a time before the ground shook with their enemies' footsteps. Kel watches this decay, this slow death, and a cold resolve hardens within him. They cannot win on the stone clan's terms. They must change the terms of the war itself. He takes 2 of his best riders, Lyra and Fen, and they begin a new kind of hunt. Not for meat, but for knowledge. For days they shadow the stone clan from the high ridges, their bodies smeared with mud and clay, becoming ghosts in the landscape. They watch the Ankylosaurus. They learn its rhythms. They see how it grazes, how the stone clan drives it back to a protected cove at night. They observe its immense power, but also its limitations. The beast is a creature of the open plains. When it navigates a patch of dense, petrified wood, it becomes clumsy. Its immense width is a liability. Its turning circle is a joke. Kale sees it try to pivot, a ponderous, multi-point turn that exposes its flank for precious seconds. And one afternoon they see the key. The stone clan drives the beast up a steep embankment to bypass a rockside. For a moment, as it strains to find purchase, its armored back tilts, and Kale sees it. The soft, vulnerable underbelly. It is pale, threaded with thick veins, and utterly unprotected by the shield of osteoderm that covers the rest of its body. It is a glimpse of mortality in a seemingly invincible god, not as a heroic charge but as a treacherous piece of logic. They will not fight the beast. They will lead it to a place where the earth itself becomes their weapon. He returns to the clan, his eyes burning with a feverish light. He gathers them and speaks of the beast's slow turn, of its vulnerability on broken ground, of the soft flesh beneath the stone. He points toward the spires of rock in the distance, a treacherous maze known as the Jagged Teeth. They will set a trap there, a trap of terrain. It is a gamble that asks everything of them. It requires their speed not for attack, but for a lure. It demands their courage not for a fight, but for a retreat. It is a plan born of desperation and foresight, a whisper of strategy against a roar of force. And for the first time in weeks, the embers of hope glow in the hollow eyes of his clan. The sun is a merciless hammer. Kale and 5 riders break from the cover of the rocks, a deliberate, suicidal arrow aimed at the heart of the stone clan's territory. They gallop straight for the cove where the Ankylosaurus is kept, their spears held high. It is an insult so profound it cannot be ignored. Shouts of rage erupt from the stone clan's camp. The chase begins. The ground trembles as the beast is goaded into a run, its handlers screaming, their faces contorted with fury. The windrunners are not fighting, they are dancing on the edge of a swinging sledgehammer. Kale leads them on a carefully chosen path, a path that feels open and clear but is subtly, inexorably funneling the pursuit toward the Jagged Teeth. He can hear the heavy, rhythmic thump-thump of the tail club keeping a deadly beat behind them. Fen rides at his right, his face a mask of calm focus, but Kale sees the tension in his hands, the white knuckles on his spear shaft. They are the bait in their own trap. They enter the maze of rock spires, and the open plain gives way to a claustrophobic corridor of stone. The air grows still and hot. The sound of the pursuit amplifies, echoing off the canyon walls. Here their speed is an illusion. There is no room to flank, no space to maneuver. There is only forward. The trap is a narrow ledge along a sheared rock, with the path beyond deliberately blocked by a rock slide they had created days before. The only way for the Ankylosaurus to continue the pursuit is to walk along this crumbling precipice. But its handlers are not fools. They slow the beast, prodding it, testing the ground. It hesitates, sensing the danger. The plan is failing. The beast is too cautious. In that moment of deadly hesitation, Fen makes a choice. He peels away from the group, turning his gallimimus to face the monster. It is an act of pure, calculated sacrifice. He screams a challenge, a raw sound of defiance, and charges not at the beast but at the handlers on its flank. They scatter in surprise, and for a critical second, their control is broken. The Ankylosaurus, enraged and confused by the direct threat, pivots to meet him. It places its immense front foot directly onto the unstable ledge. Fen and his mount are obliterated by the swing of its head, a footnote in the calculus of this new war. But his purpose is achieved. The world moves in slow motion as the living fortress, the god of the stone clan, topples sideways. It falls with a sound that is not a crash but a tectonic groan, a mountain of flesh and bones sliding into the ravine. It lands on its back, its armored shell useless, its soft, pale underbelly exposed to the sky. Its legs kick uselessly at the air, the trap is sprung. From crevices and alcoves, the rest of the river clan emerges. Their silence is more terrifying than any war cry. It is an execution. Spears designed for piercing dinosaur hide find their mark in the unprotected flesh. The stone clan handlers, trapped and leaderless, are cut down with a brutal efficiency. Kale stands on the lip of the ravine, his spear unused, watching the life bleed from the overturned beast. He feels no triumph. He sees only Fenn's last, desperate charge, and understands the price of this victory. They have proven that intelligence can defeat brute force. They have mastered a new form of primitive technology, using the very earth as their weapon. But in doing so, they have unleashed a more dangerous monster, the cold, hard logic of warfare. The age of simple conflict is over. The long, bloody history of human evolution has just learned how to truly begin. The bones of the Ankylosaurus become the foundation of the river clan's new world. Its armor plates serve as shields for their huts, its ribs the frames for new shelters. Its flesh feeds them for a season, but the knowledge it gave them will feed their descendants for generations. This was more than a hunt, more than a tribal skirmish. It was the first battle plan. A complex sequence of law, terrain manipulation, and sacrifice. Here, in the blood-soaked dust among the jagged teeth, ancient humans wrote the first chapter of tactics. The ingenuity that allowed a clan of lightly built runners to defeat a living tank is the same spot that would one day build castles and plot the courses of stars. The brutal arithmetic that traded one life, Fenn's life, for the survival of the many is the same logic that would come to define generals and kings throughout hominid history. As Kale looks out over his now secure territory, he does not see a simple victory, he sees the shadow of the future. A future where the greatest threat to mankind would not be the tooth and claw of the planet's older masters, but the terrifyingly clever mind of man himself. This is the bedrock of our defiance, the moment a plan became more powerful than a god of flesh and bone. But from the southern mountains, a new scent drifts on the wind, the smell of fire that burns with a strange green light.